Hello and welcome to World of Tanks with Trapsikis. Now you'll notice on the enemy team I'm driving the SU-122-44, and I remember while playing this game thinking that this IKV is a force to be reckoned with. He was using his tank's mobility and camo rating and gun very well, so he did make it very difficult for us. So I'm very glad that he actually uploaded this so that I can see his perspective, and then we can perhaps investigate his claim that, or not his claim, but his implication that it was a little bit unfair to lose. If you look at the title that he uploaded it on What Replays, 3k damage mastery badge, loss, sigh. Now this is something that unfortunately happens a lot. You do well, you use your camo, you use your mobility, you use your gun, you do a lot of damage, you get a lot of kills, and you still lose. Simply because the team didn't work together as well as could have been expected. So immediately you'll notice there's no spotters going out on this side of the map, and the team is really dividing itself in two. You'll see the eastern bunch are completely separated from the western bunch, and there's no TDs covering the east from the middle of the map. So this is already a difficult position because they're all split up and they won't be able to help each other in any way. Right, so the first minute gone, Nana just up to just over 500 damage, and he's just spotted the T-34, so it's probably fair to assume that he's been spotted as well because he has been firing. Right, so he's not falling back, so maybe he has Sixth Sense, but be aware your Sixth Sense does take a couple of seconds to go off after you fired, or after you've been spotted, so you won't necessarily receive warning. And in this case, the 85M was close enough to spot him, so he does have Sixth Sense, and he moves back to be able to reload before engaging. Fortunately, artillery gives him a hand here, and you'll see obviously Nana's doing quite well, and his team isn't doing bad either. If you look at the minimap, the friendly team has covered most of the eastern flank. However, bear in mind they've only covered the 8, 9 and 0 lines. The 5, 6 and 7 lines are completely empty. So the middle of the map, nobody's been there, nobody knows what's going on there, which could be challenging because you never know if some light tank's going to push through and eliminate your artillery or something like that. So be aware of that the middle of the map often needs at least one person to just have a look at what's going on. Right, but if you look at the scores, 7-5, it's not that bad. And now Nana takes his first damage, and he falls back to reload again. Unfortunately doesn't manage to land that one on the MT. Right, so here he does a very smart thing. Even though he still had a friendly there, the Firefly, he saw the situation was hopeless, that the Firefly was going to get eliminated, and started falling back. Now, this is one of the strengths of this tank. It's one of the most mobile tier 7 TDs. So, use your mobility, move, because you do not have any armor on this thing. You've got a relatively decent gun with rather poor DPM, and your mobility is great, but your armor is useless. So do not stand and trade shots. Relocate, shoot, relocate again. That's the only way you're going to make a significant impact on the game with this tank. Right, as you can see there, I am sitting behind the ridgeline, so there's no shot for him on me. And at this stage, I was just trying to provide covering fire to my two scouts here, or the Comet and the MT, who came into the artillery. Right, so difficult there, because the artillery is accidentally blocking the shots, so Nana is unable to take them out. And now the friendly team is -2 artillery, but that's kind of alright because the enemy team also doesn't have any artillery left. And there you see the collapse of the House of Cards, 4 deaths in a row for Nana's team, which could spell disaster. So quite a short while ago they were ahead with 3 tanks, and now they're behind with 1. But also if you look at the tiers, we've got 3 tier 7s, they've only got 2 left. And then we've got a tier 6 and a 5, and they've got 2 5s. So our tanks will probably have a bit higher DPM, better armor, more hit points, more mobility. So no reason to panic yet, but Nana's team is in a bit of trouble. Right, wisely going for the Comet first, because the Comet has a much higher DPM and penetration, and the MT, even though faster, doesn't have that dangerous gun, and for some reason the MT decided to do a handbrake turn right into Nana's line of fire. So if he'd kept going, he would probably have been able to eliminate Nana, but unfortunately that was not to be. Now scores are tied, 3 versus 3 tanks, and you'll see that there's 1 tier 5 on each team and 2 tier 7s on each team, so it's relatively well balanced. But do bear in mind, our T-29 is still very healthy, whereas the Tiger is near death, and the KV-1 doesn't have a lot of hit points left either. Right, so at this point, obviously I'm sitting on that little hill on G3, and I'm trying to remain unspotted and provide covering fire for the T-29 who's moving in to secure our base. So you'll see, unfortunately for him, Nana misses our M4 there, and our T-29 takes out the KV-1, so now it's 2 versus 3, and things are starting to look dangerous. A blind fire there. This is often a good idea if you're quite sure that you won't get spotted. As I've mentioned in one of my videos, blind fire can have very good results. Right, so this is a bit of a tricky situation. The Tiger definitely within one-shot range for me, not quite for the T-29. And now, unfortunately the shot goes a little bit low and he only tracks the T-29, but he's in a good position to remain unspotted and provide some covering fire to the Tiger there. Because the Tiger is in a difficult position. He's hiding behind the house, right behind our cap circle, or in front of our cap circle. And the moment he came out, I was able to eliminate him because the T-29 went one way around and the Tiger tried to hide the other way. So he exposed his rear to me. Now Nana is alone against 3. And he wisely decides not to go head to head with the T-29. You have to use, in this kind of scenario, your advantage. If you consider what tanks are on the enemy team, that's a slow TD, a slow heavy, and a slow medium versus a fast TD. So Nana has the advantage of speed and a decent gun. He's got better penetration than any of us and better gun handling as well. So he has to use his mobility and camo rating to outspot us and do a little bit of damage at a time. Don't try to sit and eliminate an enemy entirely unless you're quite sure that you're not spotted. Because if you stand still, you'll give the enemies time to flank you and to work together. Whereas if you keep moving, they will not necessarily know where you are. Once again, just taking me off the track there, but he wisely aims at the weak spot on the T-29's front and does some more damage. Now at this stage, I was asking the M4 to go cap with me. Even though the T-29 is engaging the IKV, he was unspotted, so I knew he was in this area, but because we didn't know exactly where he was, it's very dangerous for us to cross the open field in the middle to actually come try to eliminate the IKV. So I convinced the M4 to cap with me. It took a little longer to get on cap, but still, this is an important strategy to keep in mind. In this kind of situation, if you do decide to cap, work together. Try to wait just outside the cap circle for your friendlies to join you and get on the cap circle together. This will provide less time for the enemy to respond to your capping and a higher chance of your capturing the base to be successful. Right, so I'm sitting in that bush slightly to the right of the IKV's turret, and I saw that shell whizzing by and wisely or luckily thought he's actually taking pot shots. He's not spotting us because we couldn't spot him, so there would have had to be a double bush between us. So I stood still, and I'm quite sure if I had moved he would have spotted me and then eliminated me. Very well done, Nana, and sorry for taking your victory away from you. Let's have a look at the post-game stats. Ace tanker with a high caliber. Bear in mind, if you look at the team details, even though his base experience was only 784, he received a bonus for his high caliber, bringing the base experience effectively up to 1244. So that's why I received the ace tanker, because the 784 would not have been enough to do that. And then if you look at the personal details, he did manage to rake in a profit of nearly 20,000 despite the loss. And as I've mentioned before, he did everything right, but unfortunately the team wasn't there to support him, and he wasn't able to get the victory there. Either way, well done, Nana. Thank you for uploading this replay, and thank you for watching.